Hey guys, my name is Manny. I'm a 37-year-old dad, father of two, soon to be three, a husband, a brother, the sole provider for my family. And I'm just here to share my perspective on what it's like to be in that position and looking out across the landscape in the sphere of other men living this life and the struggles, the triumphs, the victories, the things that get us through each day. And I start to realize that there are so many men going through the same things that I'm going through, so many people. A lot of times I joke to my wife, I said, it's like we're all living the same life. I am at the ballet store for my 3-year-old daughter buying ballet shoes, tutu, whatever, for her first ballet lessons. And another individual walks in, another young man, as myself, his wife and kids, getting the one daughter the stuff. The kid starts screaming. He has to take the young one out to his truck, walks out to his truck, sitting in his truck. I come back out into my also white truck sitting next to him, and you know, had my one of my kids blown up, I would have probably done the same exact thing. So here we are living just a little glimpse of the same exact life, going through the same exact, I don't even want to call them problems, but just things in life that challenge you. And I want to be able to speak to that, voice that, and acknowledge that in this channel and be not a beacon, but just a sounding board to other men who can relate to that. And we can talk about these things that weigh on our hearts. And I believe that doing that will be cathartic for me, for you. So I open this up to discussion and to your input. And one of the things I want to just touch on briefly this morning is just being present for your kids and your spouse is one of the greatest, I would say, struggles that I think we all face, but I know that I face personally. I grew up with my father wasn't present, not to his demise, but just the falling out with my mom and him. I didn't have him around. So my mother primarily raised me for most of my young adulthood and into being a young man. And in that, she had to do a lot of things on her own, supporting me. So I was left to my own devices, which was a detriment ultimately to myself as far as long-term lifelong struggles that I've been exposed to because of my lack of oversight when I was a kid. And as a dad now, I am striving every day to be better and to be there for my kids. And I dropped the ball. Let me tell you, I dropped the ball for them, for myself, for my wife. And that really can feel deflating to me. But as I sit back and reflect, I realize that you are worthwhile and you are doing your best. It might not feel like you're doing your best. You start judging yourself based off of other people and how they're doing, and that's just wrong, and it's a lie. So let's acknowledge that we are doing our best and we're trying. We really are trying. I see these studies showing how millennial dads are showing up for their kids more than dads have in generations. And I believe it was that era that we were coming out of in the 80s and 90s that the dads they weren't present the way we are now. And it's not about coddling your kids and babying them and turning into the mother figure for them. It's being the strong father figure that they need. And I want to be that. I so want to be that for my kids. And a lot of times that's me playing with them, spending time with them. I see other men who have hobbies and interests, and trust me, I do too. But I see that they put those before their family, and I think to myself, well, if you spent this many hours doing that many hours doing that. Where does your dedication, your mindset fall into as far as taking care of your family? Yeah, you go to work, but then everything outside of that, outside of the providing part, you put it ahead of your family, your self-interests. And I am certainly guilty of that. But I have to constantly work at it and remind myself that this is a gift and a short moment in time that I get to be there for my children at this age, something that they'll remember the rest of their life. And these days might seem like a blur to us, but you never know what nuggets and what moment a child holds on to the rest of their life, and how we react to that moment, how we treat them in that moment, and how we're just present in that moment could be something that shapes them. It doesn't have to be this overly dramatic thing, but just those little pieces that create their world. We're a part of that, and we're a huge builder in that. We're putting building blocks for their future, and that pressure is immense. And the older I get, the more I can relate to the people that have come before me, the men who have come before me, who you've heard and read about the struggles of fatherhood. And I completely understand now. And it's not just the fatherhood aspect that is challenging, it's the being the father while also being the husband that you were prior to kids being in the picture, in the equation. And that, my friend, is an even greater challenge. As I've read, a man and woman who put their kids before their marriage, ultimately are building a marriage to fail. If your children become an idol in your life, you are in essence sacrificing your marriage for your kids, who will grow up and eventually leave the nest, start their own families. And if you've sacrificed your relationship with your spouse for 10, 15, 20 years, what's going to happen when the kids leave? What do you hear about so many times? Kids go to college and or they're off on their own, and mom and dad get a divorce. And I, for one, do not want that. I want to be that foundation, that rock for our kids that can look at and have an example of mom and dad who love each other and pour into each other and are there for one another 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, Lord willing, that I get to spend with my beautiful bride. And to do that, men, we have the challenge of a lifetime. We don't get to sit back, sit on the couch, drink beer, watch whatever, football, NASCAR, whatever your interests are. Neither of those are mine. And just be a semi-present person who just cares about taking care of themselves. No, we can't do that. We have the greatest call, and that's to serve our families and to give them everything. And a lot of times you got to empty that tank and reach for more, and you're running on empty, and you have to be more and do more. And I hate that I'm saying that, but this is an acknowledgement to the blessing, because it is a blessing from God to be able to have children and have a spouse that you love and love you. So don't squander it. And it's as I'm talking into a mirror, telling myself that I'm building myself up this morning, because it's early morning, kids are asleep, wife's asleep, and here I am. I'm taking the time to talk to you, talk to myself, pump me up for the day, and give me a acknowledgement of, yes, this is hard. This is hard, Manny. This is hard, guys. But that's what we're called to do, and we have to do it. And let's lift one another up. Let's acknowledge other men who are in these positions, and let's not belittle this situation. Let's strengthen ourselves so that we can be the strength for our families. And as we move along through talking about these things, I want to hit on areas of focus in the mindset, in the practical application of how we can further grow in our understanding, in our approach on how we take care of our family, and the things that can set us outside of the realm of being a wage slave, as many of us are, and thinking about how we can expand our families and the generational legacy of our family into things such as business and entrepreneurship, things like that, because we're called to use this time to the greatest of our ability. And that doesn't mean just clocking in, clocking out at a job and then moving on with our life. Because before you know it, guys, 10 years has passed, 15 years has passed, 30 years has passed. And I firmly believe we're called to do more than just work 30 years and sit on the sidelines as soon as you turn 55, 63. No, no, no. God has called us to do much more. And we have so much capability at our hands that we're squandering nowadays. So men are stepping up, but at the same time, we are a shadow of what men used to be. So let's claim that manhood back, and that manhood is being a great father and great husband, great leader, great warrior. So here's to you guys. Have that coffee, get that pep in your step, get that motivation, and get out that door and do the best you can, not for yourself, but for those around you. Thanks, guys.